Okay, welcome. Taylor with West Physiotherapy. We're going to go ahead and get started this morning. We're going to start in standing, and we'll do a little bit of maybe a lymphatic, kind of upper body lymphatic kind of wake up, and then we'll go through some arm warm up, and then we'll start with our standing poses and flow, kind of gradually back down to the floor where we get to end on our back. Okay, so let's just come to the center of our chest here, like along the sternum. This is where, and just take either your fingers or the palm of your hand, and we're just going to do like a little bit of pressure kind of down and back where those ribs like come into the sternum. I am not a lymphatic drainage specialist. So if you are and you think my techniques seem a little funny, that's probably why, but we're just kind of waking this area up, giving it a little space so that then when we go, we can switch to the other side, go do a little bit of upper body kind of massage for a little bit of drainage. There's somewhere for that fluid to go. Good. Okay. And then let's come up to head and neck, and let's come right here at the jaw. So we're on that little beefy muscle that's in front of the ear and at the jaw. We're just going to do some little circles there. This is the masseter. This is the one sometimes we clench if we're clenching. This one, and also we could come up here just above your cheekbone and then up into your skull here. This is temporalis, and this is also a big jaw clencher. You sometimes see, if you see like a wrestler who has a shaved head, you'll see these big muscles kind of bulging up there. Okay, I'm not sure that really helps with lymph drainage, but it kind of feels good to massage those muscles. And then let's come protrude your jaw forward just a little bit and come in that space behind the jawbone very gently because it can feel a little pokey there. And just do little gentle massagey circles there. Good. And then you can do one side or both. I think I'm just going to do both. And just do some sweeps, kind of at an angle. So we're coming along this sternocleidomastoid. Runs diagonal from the back of our skull, kind of down to here. So we're just sweeping that myofascial tissue down there. Good. And then come along the top edge of your collarbone or clavicle, and you can either just do some sweeps out, or honestly, probably what would work better is if you come from the outside in. You're kind of sweeping along there, and then come underneath the bone and do some sweeping along there. And I'll switch to the other side on top of the bone. I already skipped a step. I was going to have us check our neck range of motion to start with today. We'll do it right after this before we do the arm warm up. I've been playing around a lot with looking at just checking things before and after I do a session to see what all kind of things changes, and I've been having some neck pain, so I thought, I'm gonna see how my neck moves afterwards. It was better. All right. Good. All right, let's come into our armpit, morning armpit. Do some little circles. You don't mind if your armpit's dry. Good. Other side. Nice. All right, so let's just check in with our neck motion. We're especially going to pay attention to rotation and side bending, but let's first just do a little looking down. So see if you can let this begin with your chin and then roll down towards your chest, and kind of notice maybe how far away from your chest is your chin when you get to the bottom. You can put your fingers there, 2, 3, 4. And then if you're comfortable, try looking up and back. Maybe just notice how that feels in the back of your neck. And then let's look over our shoulder to the left. Notice how that feels. Maybe get a sense of like, where does your chin get to? Does it get to your collarbone or further past? Far behind you can you see? And then check to the right. Does one direction feel easier or harder? Do you have pinching? Does it stop at one point? And then really gently checking in with side bending. So bringing that left ear towards the left shoulder. Right ear towards the right shoulder. And you're kind of noticing, do you get pinching on the folding side? Do you feel a lot of stretching? Do you notice that your head kind of rotates when you go over into that side bending position? Any of those things. Okay, we're going to start in standing, but if you don't have your little bolster for sitting and kneeling or your towel roll, you could get that now because we'll be moving into those poses in a little bit here. All right, so let's just start with planting our feet hip distance apart. Doing a little toe spread, bring all the toes up towards the ceiling, and then let's see if we can put them down on the mat one at a time. So pinky, oh, the little pinky's the one that got roast beef, stayed home, and then big toe finally. And then just practice kind of shifting your weight onto the heels, onto the balls of the feet, onto the heels, onto the balls of the feet. Come up to your knees, soft knees, kind of a relaxed back. We'll do a little bit more with this in a minute. And then I want you to bring your arms out to the side. When you do this, they can be in line with your body, or if that is too much tension, just bring them in front just a little bit. And right here, I want you to think about squeezing your shoulder blades behind you together, and then reaching them away from each other out towards the walls. So when you come back together, you may feel the shoulders come up a little bit, and then as you glide them wider out towards those fingertips, and they may drop down a little bit. Back and out to the side. Let's do a couple more of those. So we're getting in touch with those rhomboids are pulling them back, and serratus anterior is gliding them out and wide. That's what we're going to be using through a lot of the poses, is that serratus anterior. Good. Now let's start with the palms facing behind us, low down. And then I want you to just gradually bring them up to shoulder height as you rotate the thumb up and the palm forward. And then we're going to rotate back the other way, palm back, thumb down. If you can coordinate your breathing, so breathing in on the way up, exhaling on the way down. Breathing in, keeping the shoulders wide at that T position. Exhaling and bringing them down. Now we're going to go up a little bit higher, so we're breathing in towards mid-Venus. We'll come up a little bit higher. And then coming back down, rotating the palms down. So as you're bringing the arms up, keep that connection of that reaching out, scooping wide. Even as you pass midline, you're scooping, like you're lifting something up towards the ceiling and then coming back down. And this time, as you come up, you're breathing in, coming up. See if you can allow your trunk and head just a little bit to elevate as it lengthens. So they're kind of just following the arms, and then you're bringing the arms back down. And scooping up, allowing that chest and chin to rise just a little bit, keeping the length through the back of the head and neck. And then coming down. Good. Now let's come into our Athena arm. So we're making a circle here. Our palms are going to be shoulder width apart. So we don't want them close here. We've got space, which is helping us press out through the elbows, out through the shoulder blades. And then here we're going to breathe in and rotate those arms up to the midline and then back down. Pressing out, keeping the energy through the arms as you go up. Good, and down. Let's try going up a little bit higher. So breathing in, pressing wide, and then keep rotating up as you're able to, and coming back down. If you have tight shoulders like I do, this might start to be difficult. So if you get to a place where breathing in and you're coming up and it feels like to keep going, you've got to do some backward bending, then just let that be as high as you take them. And then come back down. The other thing that will help you is, even though it's a lot of work, is keeping that pressing wide. So as you come up into the high position, as it starts to get a little sticky, reach the shoulder blades wide, keep that energy as you try to rotate the arm, and come back down. Very good. Okay, we could probably check in with our neck now, but I can just save it till the end. Let's get into Venus position again. We kind of set ourselves up for this before. Feet are hip distance apart, knees a little bit bent. Now, when you come up to your back here, think about your pelvis like a bowl. So we've softened our knees so that we can kind of take the bowl, we could tip it back like it was going to spill out the back. We could tip it forward like it was going to tip out the forward. So just do a little bit of that tipping the bowl back and forth. And try to find what feels like a relatively neutral position. It doesn't have to be perfectly upright. That might be too tough. But we want it to feel a little bit relaxed through the back, like your tailbone is sort of softly pointing towards the floor. And we don't have a lot of forward flexion here. But we're also not really actively tough. Once you have that, you're coming up to your rib cage position, and you're making sure that you're not behind, you're not in front, that you're stacked right up on top. So if you took a line, bisected the ribs, you come down and kind of hit the middle of the pelvis and your hip here. You can use your own camera with the side view to kind of check on this, especially if you don't have a mirror somewhere. And then let's start with low Venus arms. Now for a lot of us, like me here, you can see my head is kind of in front. So I've got to come up to my occiput, do a little bit of retraction. Think about lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. What's going to maybe want to happen when you do that is your trunk may start to tip back. So resist that. You've got it stacked. Keep getting length straight up and down, not going backwards. And you'll start to almost feel like the space between the ribs and the pelvis starts to grow and stretch out just a little bit. Once you've got all of that, you're going to shift your weight just a little bit onto the balls of the feet. It happens at your ankles, not at your hips. Just practice that forward and back a couple of times. Good, and with that weight slightly shifted forward on the balls of the feet, this helps activate the back of our body and decreases the pressure in our abdomen. We'll start our breathing cycle right here. So we'll do breaths, 3 cycles, and then we'll do the apnea. So breathing in. And exhale. On the exhales, when you check in with your posture, think about lengthening from the heels to the crown of the head. Breathing in. Exhale. You're checking in with your arms. Are they reaching wide away from you? Last breath in. You're opening the ribs up like an umbrella, coming up and out to the side. As you exhale, you're continuing to create that space between your ribcage and your pelvis. Preparing the apnea at the bottom. Hold your breath. Lift for the vacuum. Keep trying to grow a little bit more, a little bit wider through the ribs. Breathing in. Exhaling. Bring the arms into low Athena now. Pressing wide through the elbows. Shoulders pressing away from the head and neck. Breathing in. Bring the arms up to mid-Athena. Exhaling. Bringing the arms down to low Athena. Breathing in. Opening the ribcage, bringing the arms up to mid-Athena, pressing wide. Exhaling. Bringing the arms down to low Athena. Last breath here. Breathing in, arms coming up. Exhale. Arms coming down. At the bottom of this breath, prepare the apnea. Hold your breath. Lift the ribs. As you're opening, as you're lifting those ribs, bring the arms up to mid-Athena. Keep holding, opening. Take a breath. Exhale. Bring the arms back down. Very good. Shake that out a little bit. Now let's come into Artemis. I shouldn't have had you shake it out because now I have to set everything up. My arms were tired. Feet are hip distance apart. Knees are softly bent. Pelvis is neutral. Trunk is stacked on top. With Artemis, we're bringing our hands down into that low Athena position. Thumb is tucked here. Not tucked, but next to, not open wide. And we're bringing your hands right to your hip crease. And those hands and that hip crease are what you're going to lean out over, like you're at a railing. And you're trusting the railing and you're leaning out over the railing. So as you bend forward, it's not like a hip hinge or a squat. Your bottom is not shifting back. We're keeping our weight, our center of mass forward on our feet, and we're keeping over forward here. And then we're going to breathe in here. Exhale. Remember, you're keeping those arms wide, shoulder blades reaching away from you. Breathing in. Exhaling, your eyes are gazing at that point where the wall meets the floor. Last breath in. Exhale. Prepare the apnea. Lift the ribs. breathing in, exhaling. Good, we're staying here. We're gonna transition down to the floor. So you're gonna breathe in, and as you exhale, allow your hands to start gliding down your thighs. So you're giving your upper body some support. Maybe stop about halfway through. Breathe in again. Good. Exhale. As you exhale, keep hinging forward. Allow your knees to bend. Reach your arms out towards the floor and shift onto your hands. Breathing in. Exhale. Bring the knees down towards the floor. Very good. So now we've got our toes tucked. We're on our knees and hands. We're going to breathe in. Good. And on the exhale, I want you to come up into aura. So you're lifting your body, you're pressing your hips forward, keeping that length through your low back as you come up into this kneeling position. And if you need to grab your bolster, if you don't have it, very good. Okay, so right here, let's just warm up the feet and ankles a little bit. So let yourself sit back, so shifting your weight back onto the feet and ankles, and then pressing forward by squeezing your bottom and pressing up tall. And then sitting back and pressing up forward. Switch. Let's do one more time. Sitting back, pressing up forward. Good. Now with aura, the challenge is keeping that, trying to get your hips straight, keeping your back elongated. If you're really good here, you can try a slight axis forward from the knees. This is a real challenge for the hamstrings. That's about as far as I can go before my feet start to come up. So play with that. Hands at Athena, mid-Athena. We're going to breathe in. Exhale. Breathing in. Exhale. On the exhale, keep growing long from your knees up to the crown of your head. Breathing in. Exhale. At the bottom, hold your breath. Lift your ribs. Keep lifting. See if you can bring your mid-Athena arms up to high Athena here. Keep lifting. Breathing in. Exhale. And coming back down. Very good. Now, let's shift back here onto our ankles and heels and come down to hands and knees. And in hands and knees, let's do a little rocking. So we're going to round the low back up. That aura position may have been a lot of pressure in your low back if you have some mobility restriction. So we can just sag and round up, tucking your tailbone, giving yourself a little chance to kind of round that low back in the other direction. Good. And now bring a little more attention to the upper body, letting the rib cage sag the shoulder blades, and then pressing through the hands to round that mid back up towards the ceiling. Sagging down and pressing up. Now let's take one hand, place it behind your head, and then reach that elbow down towards your opposite wrist, and then up, trying to open up towards the ceiling. Don't use me as any indication of how far you should be able to go. Good. Then bring that hand down. Let's switch sides. Opposite hand goes to the back of the head. Elbow reaches towards the opposite wrist. And then pushing with that bottom arm and opening the elbow up towards the ceiling. And rotating here. Good. Okay, we're going to come down into Maya. So I want you to come onto your forearms. So your elbow will be right below your shoulder. Palms are on the mat. Your knees are straight below your hips, and your toes are tucked. Energetically, you're giving a little bit of a push through the feet as if you could float the knees up, but you're leaving them on the mat. Your weight is ever so slightly shifted forward onto your arms. Your forearms are pressing into the mat and wide, like you're trying to spread the mat between your arms. And with your eyes, you should be looking between your elbows. This will help you keep your head in line with your body and not end up too high or drop down too low. So let's breathe in here. This is a really nice place to breathe in 360 degrees. Feel your ribs opening in a big circle. So that umbrella is going all the way around, getting bigger. And then you're exhaling. Very good. So we're going to add some leg work with this. So on this next breath, we're breathing in. As you exhale, lift the right knee, press the foot back behind you. Hold it there. Breathe in. Exhale, bring the foot back so the knee comes back underneath you. Good. Breathing in. Exhale, left knee on weights. Press that foot. It's still on the ground. You're just pressing it back behind you. Breathing in. Exhale. Bring the leg back underneath you. Last breath, we'll do the apnea here. Breathing in. Exhale. Remember, you're pushing, throwing long through your tailbone to your head. Hold your breath at the bottom. Lift the ribs for that back move. Breathing in, exhale, very good. Untuck your toes and press back into child's pose. Give your arms a little break. You can rest your head down on the floor if you want to. Good. Okay, cross your ankles and press yourself back until you're in a cross-legged sitting position. And then if you need to adjust to get your mat or your bolster, you can do that. Actually, we're going to do a little bit of a hip and trunk warm up here. Well, not warm up, but mobility. So you can decide if you want to sit on the mat on your towel roll or not yet. But let's uncross the legs just for a moment and bring your feet out in front of you a little bit wider than your hips. And then lean back onto your arms here. And in this position, we're just going to let both knees, kind of like windshield wipers, fall over to the left. And then reverse and fall over to the right. We're getting some hip internal and external rotation. Some of us have more of one than the other. Hip internal rotation is one that we start to lose a lot of times with age, and if the hip starts to degenerate a little bit, and it can change our gait dynamics and create more tension in our low back. Now, if you feel like trying it and you feel like you have the mobility, try unweighting your hands and see if you can keep them in front of you as you kind of rock back and forth in between these positions. Very good. Okay, crossing the legs underneath you. Let's place one arm down on the ground, and we'll do some book openers here. So reaching one hand towards that wrist and then opening up. Good. Now I want you to really plant that arm, push it into the mat so that you're really keeping your low back up tall. Your opposite hip is glued to the mat. Take the free arm, in this case it's my right arm, up towards the ceiling. Think about that scoop through the shoulder blades, making the arm long, and then pressing with that bottom arm to arch over. That pressing with the bottom arm is what's going to give you more opening traction through the rib cage. As you reach that side, see if you can breathe into the ribs a little bit more. Good. And then you can relax it a little bit and then push and reach. And let it go. Good. Let's switch sides. Book opener. So left hand to that bottom right wrist, opening up. Good. Plant that bottom arm, push it into the floor. Let it help you keep your opposite hip glued to the mat. Take the free arm, reach it towards the ceiling. Think about that wide shoulder scooping up towards the ceiling and then arching over that planted and pushing arm to open up that side of the rib cage. And then see if you can breathe into that space a little bit more. Relax it a little bit. Press again, reaching, breathing in, and letting it go. Okay, if you're not sitting on your bolster and you want to, go ahead and put that under your sit bones. And cross your arms over your chest. So opposite hand is resting on opposite shoulder, kind of like you're giving yourself a little hug. And then I want you to turn with your head gradually to the left. And then let the shoulders start twisting to the left as well. And think about growing your spine tall as you continue to twist to the left. Now, don't let the opposite hip start to move a lot. So only go as far as you can with your hips staying kind of rooted to the mat or floor. And then on the way back, I want you to come back from the bottom up. So think about maybe that mid-thoracic spine, shoulder blades, shoulders, head and neck. Let's try that one more time. So eyes, head, neck, shoulders, mid back, down to the low back, hips stay square, and then coming back, low back, mid back, shoulders, neck, and head. We're going to go to the other side. So eyes, head, and neck gazing to the right, shoulders following along, rotating down through the spine, hips staying rooted, and then uncoiling back, low back, mid back, shoulders, head, and neck. Good. One more time to the right. Eyes and head and neck, shoulders following. You're growing tall as each vertebrae keeps swiveling and twisting over in that direction, and then unwinding back to the center. So let's come into Hestia. We're going to use that sensation of rotation to add a little bit of rotational work into the apnea. So remember, as we do that, we're thinking about the hips staying rooted when we get to that part, and that we're leading with the breastbone and chest for the movement and not the arms. That's why we kind of took the arms out of it here, so you can really feel the spinal column twisting and not the arms driving the twisting. So let's connect hands here with our thighs. Feet are dorsiflexed. This ring is active by kind of pressing against itself. The arms are active, pressing wide and connecting into the legs. This helps give us some of that lift so that when we're sitting, we're not collapsing into the pelvis. We're keeping that space between the rib cage and the pelvis, and that gives us more room for the abdominal vacuum. So in this position, head growing tall up towards the ceiling, breathing in. Exhale. Breathing in. Exhale. As you exhale, bring the arms up to mid Athena. Good. Last breath in here, breathing in. Exhale. Hold your breath. Create the vacuum. Lift. Now, begin to look over your left shoulder. Rotate the trunk. Arms are staying fixed at that position. Breathing in. Exhale, unroll back to the midline. Bring the arms back down to low Athena. Connect with the legs. Let's do another series and we'll go to the right this time. Breathing in. Exhale. Breathing in. As you exhale, think about emptying from the bottom up. Last breath in, breathing in. Exhale. Bring the arms up to mid Athena. Hold your breath. Create the vacuum. Look to the right. Keep twisting your trunk, just your sternum, nothing happening at the ribs and arms to the right. Breathe in, exhale, unwinding back to the center, and bring the arms back down. Very good. Take your feet off to the side and come down onto your arm. You can take the bolster or towel out from under you. And here we're going to use this arm to support us, kind of like a mermaid, lowering ourselves down to the floor. Good. Coming onto our back. Feels good after Hestia. Hestia is a lot of work for the back to keep yourself upright. So let's just give a little minute here with the legs bent and connect with that clock, that pelvic clock. In case you're feeling a little tension in your low back after a lot of upright positions. 12 is at the top, 6 is at the bottom, 3 and 9 on the sides. Just try rocking 12 to 6. You can make your clock any size you would like. Smaller, bigger, rocking 12 to 6. And try 3 to 9. Let's try a little diagonal. So imagine where 10 and 4 are on your clock. Try going up to 10, down. Let's switch that. 2 to 8. If that's confusing, don't let it make you crazy. Just kind of imagine that bowl, you're rocking the bowl around. Now let's go all the way around the clock. And then reverse it. Good. All right, moving into Demeter. We're taking the legs out to more like a 45-degree bend. Flex the feet back towards you, press through the ankles. Feet are still hip distance apart. This pressing through the ankles is going to activate the legs. It's also going to help you keep your pelvis in a neutral position. So you can put the palms of your hands on those front hip bones, and then your fingers kind of on the front of the pubic bone, and rock a little bit and see, do you feel like you're in a kind of neutral position? You shouldn't necessarily be completely flat, depends on your body, but also not arched with a lot of tension. So press through the heels. Let's bring hands out to the side. Let's try palms down. So somewhere low to mid Venus. And then come up to your head and neck. And just kind of nod your chin, a little bit like a bobblehead, with nod and relax, nod and relax. And create that length through the back of the neck, out the crown of the head. So energetically, we have two poles pressing away, reaching away from each other through the heels, through the crown of the head, creating that feeling of lengthening through the back of the body. Palms pressing gently into the floor and away from our body. And in this position, you'll breathe in and exhale. This is a really nice position to get in touch with the back of your body. The floor gives you a lot of feedback about your spinal position. Breathing into the ribs. It blocks the breath in the back of the ribs a little bit and really allows you to feel the sides of the chest opening. And then relaxing, exhaling. Feel yourself emptying the breath from the bottom up. Last breath here, breathing in, exhaling. Everything is growing long and wide. Hold your breath. Lift for the apnea. Breathing in, exhaling. Bring the arms up to mid-Athena. Breathing in. And as you exhale, press the right heel a little bit more into the mat and bring the left leg up towards the ceiling. So your heel is pointing up towards the ceiling. Try to keep your pelvis level. Connect your right hand to the top of the left thigh. Breathing in. Exhale. Take the left arm up overhead. Good. Breathing in. On the exhale, check in. Right leg is pushing away from you. Left up towards the ceiling. Right hand pressing into the left thigh. Left arm overhead. Neck growing long. Hold your breath. Lift for the apnea. Breathing in. Exhale, slowly lowering the left leg back down, bringing the arms back to midline. Breathing in. Exhale, opposite side. Left leg presses into the floor a little bit more to unweight the right leg. Heel pointing up towards the ceiling, still a soft bend in the knee. Left hand comes to connect to the right thigh. Breathing in. Exhale, take the right Athena arm up overhead. Keep pressing wide through the elbow. Breathing in. Exhale, check in with your lines, pressing out to the left, up through the right, left hand connecting with the thigh, right arm overhead. Hold your breath. Lift for the apnea. Breathing in, exhale, slowly lowering leg back down, arms coming back to midline and down to the ground. Bring your feet closer to your bottom now. Very good. That's a really nice one for decreasing tension on the sciatic nerve through the leg and the low back. Okay, legs are pulled in a little bit closer, so we're getting a little break on our hip flexors. Let's do about time for one more. Let's finish with Aphrodite. Valentine's is coming. Start preparing. So for Aphrodite, your feet are going to come a little bit wider than that hip distance apart. So your feet are going to be more like shoulder distance apart. Heels are closer to your bottom. You're still pulling the top of the foot up towards the ceiling in that dorsiflex position. You're still pushing just a little bit down through the heels, creating that neutral pelvic position. Let's take our arms up into high Venus. So we're a little bit kind of in a bit of an X position here. So we're pressing through the heels and reaching through the fingertips. Back of the neck is long, so everything's kind of going wide out in 4 directions. And then we're breathing in. Exhale. Check in, lengthen that neck. Press the hands just a little bit into the floor. Breathing in. Good. On the exhale, press your heels, lift your bottom up. Keep the length through your back. As you press your bottom up, your back should not be arching. At the top, breathe in. You're reaching through the knees to keep the length through your hip and back as you exhale. Keeping the hips up high, holding your breath. Lift for the apnea. Breathing in, slowly lower down, keeping that length through the low back, out the tailbone, and relaxing back down. Okay. It's a really nice one for a lot of lift through the pelvic floor and even into kind of some of the vaginal space. You made it. Reach your legs out in front of you if you would like. Stretch, reach long. You can point the toes. We haven't pointed the toes. Reach the arms up overhead, fingertips, toes, reaching away. Let's place your hands behind your head. Close your eyes. Look to the left with your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed and look to the right. Holding that gaze to the right. Back to the center. Just place a hand on your chest, a hand on your belly. 2, 3 easy breaths. When you're ready, bend your knees up. Roll onto your side. Press up to sitting. Allow your blood pressure to adjust. You can stand up and then check in. Let's check in with our neck flexion. Notice how far your chin goes to your chest. Looking up and back. How does that feel in the back of your neck now? Coming back to center, looking over the left shoulder. Over the right shoulder. And side. Thank you so much.